Well, do you?
No, it's all right. I got everything I
You
need.
got everything?
Yeah, I got to start out by asking you when you were born.
I was born in 1903.
1903, and whereabouts?
Right down here where Gus Milliken lives.
Oh.
Yeah. My dad bought it in 1902.
Mm-hmm. And what was your father's name?
Elmer. Same as Elmer up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, my sons named him after my dad.
Mm-hmm. And the house down there is no longer...
The old house is gone, but with, my dad, I got to tell you the story while I think of it. My dad was, they had the framework up, and he was on the roof, wasn't in the roof. And this Jim Crowley lived to Alstead. He had a mortgage on it, he did. Mm-hmm. And he says to my dad, my dad was carpenter, my dad was, by the way, and he lived on Mile Hill. And Dad says, he says to my dad, he says, this is the last day you're going to work, because he says, I've got a mortgage on it, and Purdy is going to foreclose on me.
Oh.
And he says to my dad, you don't dare to buy it. My dad says, how deuce can I buy it? Else I know what you asked for it. And he says, today, he says, tomorrow they're going to foreclose, he says. And he says, I'll take $800 for it. That, of course, them days, you know, places aren't worth.
Yeah.
And Dad says, I'm going up and get my wife, he says, and coming right down, and we'll close the deal. But my dad always used to say that it seemed funny that he didn't burn that place before. Probably didn't have enough insurance or couldn't get enough on it or something. Yeah, I know his sons. They come after I was a young fella. There was one Ralph and one Percy Milliken. I don't know if you found their names or not anywhere or not.
What was the first one's name?
One was Ralph, I think it was, and one was Percy. I know one was Percy. Percy Milliken.
And so that's where you grew up?
That's where I was born. Yeah, I was born right there, and I was gone for a while. I worked for Doc Stevens in Alstead for a while.
What's his name? What were his first initials?
Who's that?
Yeah, Dr. Stevens.
Doc Stevens? Packer.
Yeah. Packer Stevens.
Yeah. I was with him 8 years. Yeah.
Where did you go to school?
I went to school, started at East Alstead, and then I went down here in a little brick schoolhouse down here, and then I ended up down to Alstead, up in back of what is it called, community building, is it? No, it ain't community, it's where they've got their antiques.
Yeah.
I've got a stove out on the piazza, that's got to be cleaned up.
Oh,
That's
you're going to do
down.
it to the Historical Society.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I've got some stuff got to go down, I have.
That's a good thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got I'll show it to you while you're here. I've got a saw that my great grandfather bought when he come from England, when he first come over here. Yeah, that's one of the drive-in handles. I don't think I'd dare to use it, because I think I'd be wore out.
How many in your family?
There was 5 of us, 5 of us boys.
5 children.
Yeah, 5 boys.
And no girls?
No girls, no. Yeah.
Girls to that daughter.
Huh?
How many girls in the family?
Till my daughter was born. There hadn't been no Rhoades in the girls in the family. I've got a brother that goes to Florida. He's in Florida now. He'd be 98 years old.
Wow.
His next
What's his
birthday.
name?
Urban. Yeah. He worked for years and years for the Weston House. He did. He worked for years for them. He opened up factories and I don't know what all. And this is his 3rd wife. Yeah. Yeah, there used to be by the way, used to be an old barn out in there where you was, wasn't they? Years and years ago. Out in there where you live on the Milliken place, there used to be an old barn.
Did the barn outlast the house?
I think he set that house on fire, in the barn, or else somebody built one. I won't tell you which.
You know, it's funny because in the newspaper accounts I read, after the fire, it said he was building a barn. He was putting up a new barn for his hay.
Yeah.
So that seems strange. He burned the house down, but he put up a new barn for the hay. or
Yeah, and
something.
the barn stood there for quite a long
It did.
time. Yeah,
Is that right?
yeah,
Huh.
and
That's right where my house sits,
tis,
on the old barn.
I haven't been out in
foundation.
there. I know right where it is, but
Mhm.
I haven't been nothing to go out in there for.
Where's that?
East Akron. Yeah.
Peter Rhoades, your grandson, he went all through it because he did work for Bascom, sort of evaluating the sugar orchard part of it.
Yeah.
And Bascom kept out what was good sugar orchard and sold the rest to us.
Yeah.
So he's been all through it. Yeah?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
How many years did you go to school? 8?
8, yeah.
Yeah. And then what did you do for work?
Oh, I worked in the mine 15 years.
Is that what you did first?
No, I worked for Doc Stevens there for 8
And when
years.
you did, what did you do for him? Drive?
Drive out and take care of his horses. And I followed the racetrack 3 years for him. He used to have racehorses.
Is that right?
Yeah, he used to have racehorses.
Where did they race?
Oh, golly. We went, there used to be a lot of small fairs around. There used to be, in Vermont, there used to be a lot of fairs. There used to be Rutland and I can't think of all of them, by golly. But we used to end up down New York, Lake New York we used to. And we used to go to Laurel down in
Maryland.
Maryland.
Oh,
Yeah, we used to go
yeah.
down there, we did.
Really?
Yeah.
Were they trotting horses? Or
They're sulky.
So,
Yeah.
did you drive in the races?
No, I never drove, but I would have, if I'd known what they was going to start with gates. But they used to start with elk gates, and they used to rattle your horse all up, they would, scoring them down because you had to get in your place, and the horse couldn't break when they went by the stand and all that stuff. Now they start with a starting gate, they do. And now, of course, that's something different than what it used to be. And I used to trot them out a lot. I used to trot them out, yeah. I used to trot them out.
So Dr. Stevens did this for a hobby.
Oh yeah, so did the doctor. Yeah, I was telling different ones. I've got to tell you that if I went doing what I did when I was at a doctor's, he used to be gone sometimes for a week. He'd say anybody come in with a cut leg or anything, take care of it. Now you couldn't do them things today. You couldn't. I mean, we had he got Mr. George Simmons. That's he lived in Alstead, he did, and I don't know what did happen, but he had a buckle on his rein, and he went to cuff the horse. He was riding along with the horse. He was going to get some hay, I guess, or something, and he went to cuff the horse with the rein on the rump. He did, and the rein had a buckle on it. Come back, cut him open here, and he come in, Doc, and down there, and he thought the doctor was there, and I said, "Doctor ain't here." I said, "He's gone." He says, he says, "I think I need a stitch in that." He says, "It's bleeding pretty good." I put a, they called it catgut, they did.
Yeah.
I put a stitch in there, Bogart, and ran along quite a while, and he met Doc on the road one day, and he says to Doc, he said, "How much owe you?" He says, "For office call." Doctor, you went to my office. And, "Oh yes," he says, "I was there." He says, "Floyd," he said, "put a stitch in my right up over his eye here, so I was right up in there." And Doc took a look at it, and he said, "I guess just good as I could do," he says. No, today, you'd get to have a license and something like that,
Yeah. He lived on River Street, is that
Lived right where, I can tell you, Mrs. Foster, Florence Foster lives. Same house where she lives. Yeah.
What were the sort of buildings or stores in Alstead then? The grist mill was running in those days.
Yeah, and I've got to tell you that Marvin's, he used to run a grocery store there.
Right, Fred Marvin?
Fred Marvin. I used to work for him for 10 cents an hour, putting up
Is that
stuff.
right?
10 cents an hour, and that was big pay at that time. And
Four-wheel cat to deliver?
yeah, he used to take a 4-wheel cart, hitch it behind my bicycle. He used to give me 3 cents for delivering around town groceries.
Is that right?
Yeah, 3 cents, and that isn't. I went to work for one or two summers. I went to work for Mr. Densmore. He lived on the corner down at Alstead. And
now he had a blacksmith shop at one time.
yeah, right
And
across the
this
road.
fellow Living Good lives there now. It's right
Yep,
on the corner.
yep. And he took and he come down and wanted to know if I would work for him. He said he needed somebody. Said he and Mr. Russell, Ira Russell, lives up on the hill, and he said they wanted somebody to work for him in haying. So I went to work for him. He says, I tell you now, he says, I was a young kid, I was. He says if you're worth kids' pay, we'll give you 10 cents an hour. And if you're worth a man's pay, we'll give you 20 cents an hour. And I went to work for them. They never said anything about paying me at all. I got all done. And there's a well, right? The well, I guess, is still there up back of I can't think of the name. He was a captain in some kind of army business. He was one time. His name is he's Pam's father's folks. Pam Rogers used to be Pam Roberts.
Oh yeah.
And we run out there to get some water and drink and stuff like that. And Mr. Russell says, Floyd, he says, I guess we're all done haying and everything, he says. And he looked over at Will Desmore. He says, Will, he says, I'm going to give him 20 cents an hour. I don't know about you, he says. And Mr. Desmore says, that's just what I was thinking. He says, so I got 20 cents an hour, and I was not but a kid. And they give me 20 cents an hour, and that was big pay. Yeah.
Mr. Dinsmore had a blacksmith shop at that time?
Yeah.
He did?
He'd rented it out, he had.
I see.
And he'd rented it out, and Mr. Charlie Kent and Ernest Burris had it. They did. It's right there on the corner to us. It's right there on the corner.
What kind of blacksmith work did they do? Shoeing horses?
They shod horses and did wheel work, tires on wheels, you know. And, yeah.
Did they have much farmland around there then?
Have any what?
Where did they have enough land there to be haying?
They had land up in back, you know.
They did?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And you worked for Fred Marvin in his grocery store?
Yeah, 10 cents an hour.
What building was that?
It's burnt right there. It's right there next to, there used to be, Bros used to have a garage there and a store. And both of them burnt. Both of them did right there on the corner, yeah.
What did Marvin's store sell?
Sold all kinds of groceries, he did.
Did he sell clothes and things?
No clothes. I was telling we used to sell these. Just think of it. We used to sell this stripped half. They used to be halves of red salmon.
Oh yeah.
We used to sell them for 10 cents a pound. We used to. It used to come in barrels. It used to. And I used to go in there at night, and weigh up sugar and stuff like that. I used to. Yeah.
How did you cook the salmon?
Just same you would. We used to always make a gravy, you know, and used to have salmon gravy, we called it. And it used to be what they call red salmon. Now you get a can of it.
It's expensive, isn't it?
Oh boy, I guess it is now. But it used to be 10 cents a pound.
Was it packed in oil or what?
No, packed right in a barrel, right in. I don't know what kind of brine it was in. It was a wooden barrel.
But it was some kind of brine.
Yeah. And he used to take and buy sugar. He used to buy sugar there, and I think I've loaded sugar there into Lewis's team. At night, he'd have a down cellar full of sugar. He'd make I call that a bucket parade, and we'd load that stuff after 11 o'clock at night.
Wow.
They'd take and he'd ship it, you know, with the stuff. He'd take it in on groceries, and
You mean maple sugar?
yeah, it used to be. He used to go for tobacco. He claimed it was.
He used to what?
Went for tobacco, sweetening tobacco they played.
Oh.
And some of it was black as can be, you know it was. It didn't matter how black it was.
They lived in Austria for educating Ireland.
Yeah, right there,
Oh,
show that to
really?
him. That is something old. That's something that I
Here's your fridge.
cherish. That's something. His
Here's your
wife
fridge.
gave that to me when I was up there cleaning up their lawn. She gave it to me for a keepsake.
Who gave it to you?
His wife, Mrs. Marvin,
Oh.
right next to the hall, right near the.
My goodness, I've never seen one of these before. Isn't that something? Made in Austria.
That's something I
And
cherish.
this is when they had the
Bridge.
Bridge, right?
yeah,
Bridge.
and like they had sidewalks on
Yeah.
it too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in here.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's your church up there. See?
Mhm. Imagine him sending it away to have these made. You suppose he gave them to his customers?
I don't know.
I
She
never
gave
saw
me
another-
that.
I never
She
saw
did.
another one.
No, I never saw another one.
Exactly.
I think that's all they had, because I never
Mrs.
see any
Marvin
in the
gave it
store.
to
I
you.
never see any in the store. And she come out. I was raking the lawn out there. Mrs. Marvin was kind of a thick-set lady, she was. And she come out with that, and she says, I want you to keep this to remember us by.
Exactly.
Now, my daughter has that when I get through with it.
Now, did the Marvins have kids? They had children of their own or not?
They had one daughter, Helen.
Live in Austria.
Yeah. I've got something else I want to show you, too.
There's your church, you see, right there.
I know it. That's priceless, isn't it? I've never seen one like that before. You know, I've seen photographs of when the bridge was like that and so forth. But that's really remarkable.
Church right straight ahead, you see.
Yeah? Yeah?
Oh.
Isn't that so?
Jim, in Austria.
This is something that I cherish. They were made when I was sick for 2 years. I didn't get out there. And Mr. Clark, that is Anna's husband down there, he made these, he did for me. And when I pass on, they go to Peter, they do. They've offered me all kinds of money for them. Them are burnt in. They're two-style wood. You take one out of there, you'll see what they are. They've never come to pieces. I don't know how you stick them together, but I don't know. See that?
Dominoes.
And they say that the double six is in there somewhere. It is on there, it is right there. It's on
This one is, isn't it? It's crooked, yeah?
crooked.
Isn't
They say that makes
something?
it worse for them more. Being on
And he burnt these in.
Burn them in, yeah.
What kind of wood are they made of?
Maple and cherry, I think.
Oh,
I think that's what they made of.
aren't they pretty?
Ain't they nice, huh?
What were you sick with?
I had a appendix operation, and they didn't even dare to move me from the house down there.
Oh.
And I never walked for 2 years.
Is that right? Did you have your appendix out?
Oh yeah, they were bursted. They just like they rolled me up in a sheet. They said I wouldn't live. No, and they operated on me 3 times, and every time they operated on me, gangrene set in. Every time.
Lord.
And I told them I was going to walk again, and they said, no, you'll never walk again. And I said, I'll walk if I have to crawl. And when I started walking, my mother and father had to be on both, one on each side of me.
Yeah.
My legs felt just like as if somebody was putting needles into them.
How old were you when this happened?
8.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
No, I had an antique full of hair a while ago, and you see them, they were out there, the kids were playing with them. He says, I'll give you $50 for them. I said, no, you won't, because nobody's having them.
This was Mrs. Clark's husband that made him.
Yeah.
Was his name George?
George.
George, it was.
Yeah. And he used to bring up one or two to a time. He'd say, Floyd, I've got a big family to take care of. He run a blacksmith shop. He says, I'll make them as fast as I can, but he says, I'll have them made, he says, before I die.
Is that
He says.
right?
And he made them,
Yeah. So Mr. Clark, he was a blacksmith too?
yeah, he was blacksmith
He
too.
was.
Yeah.
And where was the shop? Right down there?
Yeah, right across the road.
Is it still there now?
No.
No, it's not.
No.
I couldn't seem to remember.
And he did all kinds of general blacksmith work?
Oh yeah. Yeah, always showing horses. He didn't show horses. He just, more or less, he made tubs. We had tubs there, but they have all gone to pieces. He made sap tubs, you know, to storage tanks. You couldn't buy a tin tub or anything them days, you know.
What were they made out of, iron?
No, made out of wood.
Out of wood?
Wood, yeah.
Like a barrel, like barrel stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was a cooper then, really. He put the bands
Yeah.
around him.
Yeah.
There was wood with iron
Yeah.
bands.
Yeah.
What shape were these tubs?
Round they were. They were round and big to the bottom, and as you went up, they narrowed up. They
Yeah.
did.
That's all gone now.
Huh?
So I guess they're all gone now.
I guess they're all gone now. I guess they're.
Was it one of those that Doug fell in?
Yeah. One of them tub fell into. He only made gathering tubs of them, and I had a fellow working for me. And he was getting sap. This is something comical. My granddaughter, one of my granddaughters, got a what was it now? Mr. Sullivan and Alstead. They had some kind of a meeting somewhere, and she drawed the prize. She did for having the best. They had a write-up on sugar, you know, and they took. She wrote this. She did because I told her the way it happened. And this Douglas, he worked here for me in sugar, and he did. And I told him, I said, you hadn't better sit on top of the tub. I says, with the key. And he says, I can drive him, but you better sitting on the tub, and I can lean against the tub. So, by God, he sat up on top of the tub, and he went over bummocks, he did, and he went right out in the tub. Sat and all.
How much sap did they hold?
They hold 4 barrels, you know. And by God, I couldn't get him out. And I had to tip the barrel over sideways, but I had to do stop, tipping the barrel over sideways, getting him out. But I did. That was comical. Huh?
Did you have to get help to get him out? You couldn't get him
No, I got him out, but I tipped the barrel over and had quite a job getting him out of that. But he went right down in there.
But he doubled right up, you see, and then he couldn't get out.
Then he couldn't get out. I told him he hadn't better set up there. I said, the top ain't too it was getting to be an old tub, you know.
Well, what did you do after you worked for Mr. Stevens then?
I took him, what did I do? I went to work for, frankly, after I got through there, I went to work right in the mine. I worked 15 years, 16 years.
What years would that have been?
I worked in 1925. I did. I worked steady in the mine for 8 years steady. I did. And that was the Eureka out of Trenton, New Jersey.
Whereabouts were they?
Oh, they was all around here, and all over the different parts. They were in Marlow, and they were, and then this Phil Berkline. I don't know whether you probably heard of Bon Amway.
Yeah.
I worked for that company. Yeah, I worked.
Feldspar.
No, that was Feldspar, but they had to have white stuff, and they.
This is my sister, Madeline Ballard. I don't know.
Oh,
your
yes,
last
I know.
name.
I
think I did.
spoke with you when I was doing the history of Rockford.
Oh,
yeah,
well,
that's right. Yeah,
I know that.
yeah. I go by your house all the time on the way to the dump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a road up there, boy, they come all directions. They say they don't get walk. They say they don't have to walk in, so they don't get it. I know, you're gonna take your jacket off. It isn't that hot. I don't know where to find one. That looks
Well, you want some more heat? We put in this year we put in a furnace. We got wood and oil, and we got the wood heats up too fast. Oh, it gets so hot in here. We had to open the doors, and so we shifted right onto oil entirely. I mean, because we can regulate the oil.
Yeah.
And that's one big thing we done this year, $5,000. We did that. We did it's a brand new furnace down there, and we had a company of Bellis that put there, and it's oil and wood. And now, when we burnt wood, when the wood goes down, the oil takes over. We did. But it gets so hot in here with the oil, with wood. Had those doors, and that ain't very pleasant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you show me where the mines were that you worked in? Get me oriented here.
Yeah. Now, let's see now. Work in the winter mine and Turner mine.
Which one?
Turner mine and the winter mine. Turner mine and winter mine.
Isn't that how they do that? Shampoo and get I'm not long on shampoo and get we'll get appointment to get
The mine's on there.
I'm not sure they even are on there. That says Allen Mine up there. That says Colony Mine.
Colony mine.
That says Craig Mine.
Yeah.
But they aren't necessarily on there.
That is why my brother, them pictures I brought down there.
Yeah?
That is where.
That's called the Lyman Mine?
That's called the Lyman mine years ago.
Oh.
And that's why
I think what I have on there for names is what George Craig told me, see?
Yeah.
I think I wrote on it what he said.
Yeah. Craig mine.
So Lyman Mine is over here.
Yeah, yeah, right
Yeah?
there, yeah.
Yep, so up in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any others?
No.
And you were mining this good white feldspar for the Bonami
Yeah.
cleanser. What was the work like?
What's that?
What was the work like? It was all shoveling or digging or?
Oh well, I took them. It was they had to drill, you know, and then blow it. Yeah. And
What did they drill with?
jackhammer, and then we started out drilling by hand. We did. When we started drilling by hand. We did, and it'd be somebody with a sledgehammer, you know, and and that's the way we started out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And while I think of it too, you know, we was talking about Shepherd.
Yeah.
They took. It's when they sold out here, they went to sell that on the corner and run the store and the post office. And they had adopted daughter. I couldn't quite. And he lived here. His father lived here when he was a little kid. And of course he went to Boston with his father and went in clothing business down there. They did. And he said he didn't like the clothing business at all. And he had a chance to buy the place, he did, of Royce. Royces lived here then, Marlon Royce. And he bought it back with her, Marlon Royce. That's what he done. And he was, I think, probably a fellow in his 50s, 60s when he come back here. He was Elmo.
Who else worked in the mines with you?
Oh God, there was quite a lot of them. Up to the Winter mine and Turner mine, they were running them all at once. They had 100 there working one time.
Which one?
What's that?
All together, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah, they had 100 there one time working all together. They had a bunch of them there. And then I ended up time of the war. I was working for the Bon Amway company, and they said that they wanted us to go north. We went up into Groton, Plymouth, and around in there, and we went to work for the Colonial Mica Company. That was run by the government, it was. And we went mining mica, we did up there. Yeah, I was up there 6 years, I was.
Really?
Yeah. So I went to home here for 6 years. I just come home weekends, I did.
They were mining mica?
Yeah, we had to, because they wanted it for airplanes, wartime, and had to go into airplanes and stuff like that for heat. It did.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I guess they use something else. They claim they can get it cheaper from India now.
Yeah.
The mica they do. They claim they can get it cheaper from India. I don't know why now. Yeah.
When did they begin to use trucks or real equipment in the mining business?
When they drawed that stuff from up here at the winter mine and Turner mine, they had hard rubber tires. They did. Yeah, that's what they used, is hard rubber tires on the trucks.
Who did the trucking?
Whitcomb. This is the Whitcomb over there. His father did the trucking there. Frank. His name was Frank Whitcomb too. His name was. Yeah, I loaded a little while. I loaded the cars over there. Just think of it, for 18 cents a ton. You know.
With hand shoveling?
Yeah. Shovel. I loaded the cars over there for 18 cents a ton. They thought I was getting too much money, so I tell you, I used to come home nights. I'd flop right on the couch or somewhere. I'd start early in the morning before daylight, and I'd stay there till after dark. I would. Yeah, but I made good money. But they thought I was making too much money. They thought at that time it was pretty good money. Turnabout? Russell?
What mine was that? I don't know what mine is.
That was a Turner mine. Yeah, Turner mine up in there. Yeah. Turner mine. Yeah.
Can you still go up in there?
What's that?
Is the road still open there?
I think you could still go up in there. Yeah. Yeah.
Was the mine all open or was it underground?
No, we were down in a hole, and they put tunnels in. Some of it they did, because I worked in a tunnel, and some of it they did. Yeah, and they.
Where was that landlord that did it too? So we worked there. He also worked. Looks like this was the boss. We don't know
Yeah.
the details.
Yeah, and I've got knocked.
We don't live in the houses, so don't count. Half of the Burl Mountain was one of the bosses.
I got knocked on wood. I come up. We come up to eat our lunch at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, something. I forget what it was. And that was a winter mine, Turner mine. And we come up to eat our lunch, and I come put in there going right down into the mine about 100 feet. Come out, and the side had caved off. Oh boy, if we'd been in there, it would have buried us. It would have. That was a Turner mine. I come putting there walking right into it. And the guy, when I come out from eating our lunch, we all went up one time to eat our lunch. And when they come out, it had caved off. I got knocked on wood that I didn't get buried. I mean that. Of course, we did have accidents in mine.
What other accidents were there?
Oh, we had one fellow get his eyes put out.
By what?
They were putting air into a barrel, and they thought that it was something to do with the air business. They thought to stop it from freezing. And instead of that, the barrel blew up, put his eyes out. The feldspar went into his eyes and put his eyes out. Yep. Huh? Elvin. Elvin. I'll probably think of his name after a while. He lived a mile. He put his eyes out to both of them. They hit the spar, the barrel blew up, putting air in it. I thought that's a pretty foolish thing anyway, but they thought it was all right. And but the trouble was the register wasn't working. It froze, and they didn't know what they were getting into the barrel, and that's what happened. It blew.
Was this feldspar trucked over to the Cold River Depot there in
Cold River, yeah. Cold River, yeah. Yeah, Everson stores, I know. Yeah, and I loaded cars there for a while.
You did? For the railroad?
Yeah, the company had to pay for it. There was a railroad cars, we had to measure the cars, and each car had so much tonnage you could put into them.
Oh, it sounds like the worst kind of work.
Oh, but they paid good money, but anywhere else you couldn't get but about 30, 30 cents an hour, 33 cents an hour, and in there they give you 50 cents an hour. And that was a lot more money than... Yeah, you got 2 cents more if you drilled. 2 cents, that's all. I drilled a while, but I told Leanne, I said, I'm all through drilling. I said, I'm glad to give it up.
What was so bad about the drilling?
You get the dust in your lungs, you know.
Oh.
That's what happened to... That's half trouble Leanne.
No, I did that test back and forth. Couldn't have what you call testing on, so I did one time and you didn't hit it then.
No.
Because you didn't go up here for a month, that was good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what you was up to Tournament. It was just that dust, you know. Oh boy. You know.
Well, you had I still got the mask, you know, still
Yeah. Yeah, they got the mask out after a while, but it took them a long time before they got the mask out.
I still got some of his old paychecks. And it wasn't, well, not wasn't in the box yet, so he got more money.
Yeah.
I just should have gone through this. I'm going to read it first. Oh, yeah. Nothing in my town about it.
What stopped the feldspar mining business?
Stop it. They get something else that they could use, and it. Yeah. They stopped it all at once. They stopped it. They used to use it for dishes, and they used to use it putting tires. They used to that. They used to use it in tires. That white stuff inside the tires used to be. Yeah.
Yeah. Were you working in the mines during the Depression?
We got all laid off Depression time, and they.
Was that in the mine?
Huh?
Were you working in the mine then?
Before we had it Depression, yeah, I was working in the mine, yeah.
But you got laid off by the mine company during the
They
Depression?
just simply went right down, of course they did. Yeah.
What did you do during the Depression?
What did I do? I got to tell you, Gary, that they told us all to come down to Alstead, and that's when the old post office used to be there, you know, where and they said everybody come down there, and we sat on the steps down there waiting for somebody to come along to hire us. I sat there weeping. I says, I've had enough of this. Yeah, and I stayed at home. No, we didn't go hungry, none of us. None of us went hungry, yeah. But we did. We cleaned the side hill off down here, we did. Well, Depression time, nothing to do.
So did you go to farming then, or
What's that?
did you go farming then? I mean, you worked on your own
No,
place?
I worked out, always worked out more or less. Always worked out more or less. Yeah, I used to cut my hay nights, I used to, and of course I used to help my dad a lot. My dad used to, you know.
Did you get hired back in the mines after the Depression?
Yeah, I went back into mine, yeah.
When was that?
When did I go north? That was time of the Japanese on it. Pearl Harbor.
1941 or so?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was a long time to be out of work more.
Oh no! I went after the Depression. I went to work. I don't know. I might have gone on. I went to work. I worked quite a little while over at the hen farm over the Walpole. I did.
Oh, you did. The Hubbard Farm?
No, Smith. Fellow by the name of Smith. Of course, he sold his eggs to Hubbard. They did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One nice man he was. He just went out of business. That's all.
Was it really just raising eggs?
No, he had vegetables. He did. He had a vegetable guy. He had a vegetable stand down there.
Mm-hmm.
He did. Yeah.
We go over at night.
What over at night? He used to We used to have about 10,000 layers, you know, and he took, he had his little small chickens come, and he was a man that Elsia remembered him some of the things. He wouldn't think of them, you know. So I never thought to say that we'd get 10,000 chickens out there in the brooder house, and he'd give $1 a piece for them. That was big money at that time. That was big money. And I come home, and after I'd gone to bed at night, I says, you know, I said, I'm going to try to call him. I guess I tried him on the telephone. I couldn't get him. I said, well, I said, you know, I said, it was after midnight. I said, you know, I said, I'm scat. I says, there's so many chickens there. I'm going to drive over Walpole. I says, I'm going to. It was after midnight. So I drove over, and he wasn't home. He'd gone somewhere. They'd gone somewhere. So in the meanwhile, while I was up the hen house, he'd come and gone to bed. He hadn't thought anything about him. He'd gone to bed while I was up to the chicken house, while I was up to the brooder house. I went over there, and I guess it was a place about big as that. But it burnt. The chickens had scratched that shavings up near a bulb. He had bulbs in there, and it caught on fire. It was smudging white on it. And I put it out, I did, and fixed all that up, I did. And I says, I guess they must be up, and I says, I won't stop them and bother him this time of night. So I come along home, I did. Next morning I went over, and first thing he said when I went in, he says, Floyd, I never thought of them chickens last night. I said, I was over here after midnight last night. He says, I thought I heard a car go through the door you had. He says, I did. And he says, I says, you know, it started burning around one of them bulbs. He says, I should have gone up. He says, I never thought a thing about it. He said, we could burn up all of them chickens we could have.
Yeah.
But I went over, and he felt pretty pleased that I'd gone over there, because he said, I'd forgot all about that they'd come, and I was thinking about something else.
What did you do during the Second World War?
Second World War?
Yeah.
That is when I went up north part of the country there, mine and Micah. Yeah, they put us on mine and Micah. They did. There were 6 of us, and I went up. Planes and stuff. I don't know, something to do with the army business. I've got something to tell you too on the Micah business. We were 2 miles right up on a mountain. We were, and the Colonial Micah Company, the head ones of it, come in and told us any good mica, they want it lugged out of there every night, put under lock and key, that mica, and we used to lug it out in gunny sacks, you know, grain bags. We'd lug it out. We'd always plan to blast it about noon, and then the afternoon, a lot of the time, we spent all the afternoon lugging that mica out. We did, and we had a pickup truck out there side the road with a box on it, 2 locks on it, and we'd throw it in that, we would. And then the boss would come up to the boarding house. Sometimes he'd come up twice during the week. He would pick up that mica, and the government had to have it, you know. They needed it. Yeah, they split it. They did split it up, you know. And you know, there was at that time, you know, there was sealing, so you couldn't get only so many stamps, you know.
Yeah,
you've heard of that?
every kind, yeah.
I got books, all the books I wanted.
Oh, really?
Sugar?
Yeah.
What else?
I went down, Dan Medkiff down to Alstead. He and his wife were the ones that see about it, and I drove into the yard, and he said, I'll give you some stamps. He gave me a few stamps, and I come back and I called up Phil Burplank. He lived in Key, and I said, I'll get just about enough gas to get up there, but not after I get up there to run. He said, you just turn right around and go right back down. I went back down. Dan and his wife were out down in the dooryard. They lived up on just above where the post office is in Alstead now. And they were out there, and they had a whole book of it. And they said, is that enough, Floyd? And he said, we got tore out, he says. He says, they give us an awful talking to. He says, you're considered class 1 of getting that mica out.
Yeah.
And he says, you're entitled to all the stamps you want. He says, if that ain't enough, he says, we'll give you some more. So, but when I first went down, they said, you can't get only just so many, and that's what I got. But they give me a whole book. So he says, if that ain't enough, just come down again. So.
Now, there might have mica around Alstead too at that time?
Yeah.
Where were the mica mines then?
Where they were? They mined some around East Alstead, they did. And they mined around here and everywhere. They went into places prospecting, they did, to find mica, they did. Yeah.
Were there mica shops around Alstead? There was one on Mechanic Street or something, where they split it and everything?
Yeah,
There was.
and they used to, I don't know, I don't imagine that anybody can ever remember this, but I remember, they used to rift mica up over where the store was. They rifted mica up there a while, they did. Where the old post office used to be, up over the store. They rifted mica up there.
You mean Alstead?
Alstead. Yeah. Fellow by the name of Clark rifted it there. I know him, I did.
Did women do any of that work?
Who?
Did women do that? I see one picture of women
Oh, yeah.
working in a mica
Yeah.
shop, so that was something women did too.
And they rifted some over here by the Lyman mine here too. You know, there was a building right there outside the road. They rifted mica there. They did some.
Which direction? East Alstead?
Yeah, where Ernest was over there. Bill Fort had that. Bill Fort. They got the mica up at the Craig mine and took it over there. Yeah.
Why is that stuff takes out spoiled cider? Why, it's white. Just make it sound like a girl. Oh, what the heck? Well, we had a job that took all the grass, and everybody had a grass. Takes out spoiled cider.
If you want to see why that, I've got the picture, but I've lost it somewhere. Have you heard of that lady that was in Barney and Bailey Circus?
Yes.
I had the picture of her, but I don't
Is
know.
that
Ed,
right?
I had the picture of her. I can take you down there and show you where she lived.
Huh.
Oh, what's her name?
Yeah, I mean, there's no house there, but I can show you where the cellar
Huh.
is. Because I tore the house down.
I see.
Yeah, I tore the...
Name for it.
Huh?
What's her name?
Elmira Richardson. Richardson.
Richardson?
And she weighed 600 pounds or something.
Yeah.
She was in a circus
Yeah.
when she was on.
That was a mile.
She was
Huh?
from East
Yeah.
Alstead or Marlow.
She lived
Yeah,
down there,
now.
the old place,
Now.
Yeah.
right across the road, in the dooryard.
Yeah, right in the dooryard there.
Right next to the shed.
Yeah.
Right back she was.
Yeah.
No, she was just...
Yeah.
Oh boy.
She was about...
Yeah. I had pictures
I
of her.
don't know if I went to.
I don't
They took me
know.
down to the driver one time, show somebody.
Yeah.
That's a mistake.
Yeah, I think I brought it back, Mother. I know I did. I know I did.
All history.
Yeah.
Brought school. And everything all about it, and his wife said yes.
And did you hear time of the Hatch saying that she was related to him?
No.
Yeah, she's related to him.
Is that right?
Yeah, she's related to him. That's his
Who's this?
Hatch.
Timer Hatch said
Timer. We all call him Timer so much that I mean, when he was a kid, you know, I used to work on the road, you know, for his father. His father was a road agent, and we used to call him Timer so much that his father always asked Timer or something like that. Everybody gets so they called him Timer. His name is Carol. Carol.
Oh, Carol.
Why was he called Timer?
That his father always called him that, and everybody used to call him Timer. But I called him Timer so much that his right name is Carol. His right name is Carol. No, I took they were talking about ice and stuff like that. My brother put on skate down here at the other place, and that around 2 miles, he skated all the way right in the middle of the road, right to East Alstead School, and my folks used to give him a deuce because he'd run off and leave me, b'gard. I'd be a long ways coming home, I would, and he'd put the skates on over there when he got through school, and skate all the way home, right in the road, b'gard. They didn't plow the roads them days. They didn't plow them.
Did they roll them then?
Huh?
Did they roll them then?
I guess they rolled them.
Do you remember the snow rollers?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Who had some of the first cars that you can remember around? You did. I mean, before you were old enough to drive.
Yeah, before I was old enough.
That's the one Bill Wheeler had.
That was a brush.
Brush. That's it.
Yeah,
I
brush.
forget that. Brush.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And Eldon Nash had a brush in Alstead. I think that's about the first one that I know of coming around.
Long hair.
I bought my first brand new Ford, 1924, $442.
Really?
I've got a, I'll have to hunt it up too. I've got I mean, they took it was, I bought it at Ben Bragg down to Alstead, and they was getting the history of 50 years ago, back here quite a while ago. I've got it somewhere, and it was in the paper that who had bought new automobiles, and Floyd Rhoades had bought a 24 Ford Model T, and Doc Stevens bought one the same year of a guy that I did. He says, Doc says, I'm going to buy one. I forget which one bought first. And Doc says, my old one is a 22 or 23 or something. He says, I think I'll get a brand new one. So he says, I'm going to swap mine in. So he did about the same time I did mine. I know his is a brand new one, just same time.
One time you got a car, I think $100 for it.
Yeah.
Like just exactly 10 years. Broke down.
Yeah, Model A.
Huh.
Yeah, that was nice. That was a good car.
Stop. Stop.
And I got to tell you that some of these things come to me, and this Elmira Richardson, she used to fall down, took all the kids and teachers to get her back onto her feet, used to, and shoot. I can show you a schoolhouse down here. She used to have to go in that schoolhouse sideways to get in. She did. Yeah.
But she lived across the road from the house.
Yeah, right across right in the dooryard. But the house was, Gus thought it was too old and he couldn't get no insurance on it. If he had, he'd burn it just same as he did that at place up there where you was. But he couldn't get no insurance because the insurance company thought it was too old a house to insure. And he was building this brand new one. I wondered he didn't burn that, but he didn't have to. And of course, my dad was on the roof boarding it in when he bought it. But the idea was that I never see such a place in my life as 'twas there. And my dad was a long time cleaning it up. He took and bought everything he could buy out. He had a lot of old relishes. He'd draw them in there. Dad had fire there 2 different winters. He didn't dare to burn it in the summertime. And he'd take the ox and pull the stuff and dump it over onto the fire. And then when he got time, he'd do it some more. And the fields were covered with darn junk, you know. Down but old wagons broke, wheels broke, and all that stuff. And he had fire there 2 different winters. I know Dad was telling about. And he said that he'd take and burn the stuff up. And of course, at that time, you could sell old iron. And he'd take and would get cooled off for spring, and then he'd pick it all up and take it in and sell it. He did. And yeah.
Do you remember the hurricane of 1938?
What's that?
Hurricane of 1938.
38, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got a picture. I went where I went to.
yeah, it's nice.
I was up in the woods there and looking at the trees, and they were just, you couldn't tell which was the way to put the picture.
Yeah.
And I got it somewhere because I had the picture.
Yeah, I
So
took.
I was sitting on the trees, so you could tell which end was up.
Yeah,
You know, you can tell looking at
I
it.
can remember it all right because the bands went. I lost the bands here. I lost bands here. I did, and what happened that I didn't feel good. I was working for my Uncle John over in Walpole, and I didn't feel good, so I didn't go to work. And that hurricane, I was running down here to my brother's down. My brother lived down here, one of them, and I was running down to my mother's, and everything. And while that was going on, and this house never hardly wiggled at all in that.
That really. I got that picture of it. You couldn't tell, but looking at it, which way was the trees supposed to be?
Flat right out.
They just flattened right out. I was sitting on some of the
I
trees,
was
so I
sitting
could
there
tell.
when he was 6 years old. He had a lot of fun watching that.
Oh, yeah.
And here I am scared to death, Papa these. Some people down out there.
Yeah, yeah,
I
they
thought,
took.
Mama, don't come to the farm. See them, making it fun.
Yeah, it is funny maybe somebody else. I know I was sitting on the trees there where they could go down, so you could tell which way was that they were just laying on the ground, but you couldn't tell by looking at the picture. So I was sitting up on the trees laying down there, you could tell which way was up.
That made a lot of work, didn't it?
Oh,
Clearing
it
up the
did.
lumber and
Yeah,
stuff.
oh yeah, it did.
And at the
Yeah,
end of the
yeah.
depression.
We took right after that. They had that. What is it? WPA? Guess it's
Yeah.
WPA or something. And they had, I don't know, in the town of Alstead, I think they had 20 some odd working on it, cutting out. We went on old roads that nobody ever went on, cleaning up brush and piling it and getting it ready and burned it. We did.
No work.
Want no work. A lot of people went on to it. They did.
There were a lot of roads were damaged.
Oh, sure, there was. And my trees went in them, you know. And they had to. They were afraid of fires. They were so much brush side the road, and they were afraid of fires. So they cleaned it. They did, and we took and had. They didn't. Of course, there weren't no power saws. If there were, they didn't. They wouldn't let them use them or something because we did it all with a crosscut saw. We did, and axes. We did.
It must have been a hurricane when they had to walk East Alstead, you know, East Alstead down driveways.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't get through the road.
You couldn't get through.
Trees were everywhere in the road and everything.
Yeah, really. And I was just lucky that I didn't go to work that day.
No, it didn't happen.
No.
Things like they do now. No cost cutters.
No, I had crosscuts and stuff like that.
And then there was a very bad fire over in Marlow, 41. What
Yeah.
happened then?
What happened then?
We sat right in the window down his brother's down there, the next house, and watched the fire.
I'm going to tell you the exact truth. I lived in agony.
Yeah.
I took and
Couldn't believe they had been in hell quite fire, you know. Of course,
And
we were right the other side of the fire.
I took and I went up on a Monday, 4 o'clock. I went up and I run from Guston Pond up here. You know where that pond is up here? I run from there up to what they call Russell's Corner, and the fire went over top of us. And they can tell about what do they call them? Out in the west there, them fires. You know where you
Yeah. Forest fire.
and that went over us like a ball of fire, and the darndest noise I ever heard in all my life. And we went on the bridge to keep them burning up.
Really?
We went on the bridge, and they put the water to the fire truck to keep the fire truck from burning up.
Oh.
And then
So you were fighting the fire.
where?
And they told
And,
him to go somewhere else, way over somewhere, and he said, like, double L. He said, I'm going to stay somewhere
and
near where we live.
They
There had to be somebody there.
then they took the neck. They said somebody come up around with Augustine Pond. That's where it come off of the hill. That's where it started. And they said, boys, it was Earl and myself and who else? There was one or two others, I guess, stayed there. And anyway, they said stay there. And along the next morning, early, the fire warden from Kean come in, and he says, everybody out of here, he says, and go down to the Bain place. That's down toward Gilsum. And he says, because the fire's down in there. And I says to him, I said, here's one person that doesn't go. He says, you're subject to a fine. I said, all right. I said, I'll take it. I said, I'm not going to go. I said, because, and the next night, I never lived in agony in my life. The fire come back, my guy, and I thought sure it was coming this way. We had a kettle all in the barn, and
They had buckets of water all the way around the house and things.
we
That
had
really
buckets
was
of
bad.
water around here.
We sat
I,
in the next house down there. You got blazing everything.
they sat there all night down at the next house, down there at my brother's, because they didn't know what was coming. We expected it would jump and come this way, but it didn't happen to. It went the other way, went towards Washington and off in that way. That's where it went to. See, it went over quick. When it went over, I suppose there was enough breeze, so it took it over, and then it come back the next night. It come back, come right back over.
That was a fire.
That was a fire. I don't want to see another one like it either.
What finally put a stop to it?
Guess it finally on a Thursday morning. It started raining.
Oh.
Yeah, Thursday morning. I never slept a wink from Monday until Thursday morning. I forgot what time it was. I think it's 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock. It started raining, and I come home. My dad come up and woke me up because I hadn't had no sleep, and he thought that I shouldn't sleep so much.
Oh.
You know, when you get,
Yeah,
I was all
exhausted,
exhausted. I was just exhausted. That's all, you know. Because I mean, two-thirds of it was living on your nerves.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you expected any minute it was going this way, you know.
Yeah.
And we were trying to fight it. We were around back of the pond there trying to fight it. We were.
Wasn't the town of Marlow pretty well surrounded?
Yeah, Marlow was surrounded.
Sides, anyway, completely
There's
surrounded.
trapped over there, trucks crashing, trying to go through, but Mama jumped in there, wanted to go.
Yeah. No.
Down to go through. I suppose it'd be fun watching the fire.
Oh, sure.
If they did get caught inside, they couldn't get out.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let them through. Just to stay out of the area.
You know, we had a lot of sightseers coming that wanted to just see the. I mean, they were right in the way. They were. I mean, instead of fighting fire, the guy, they'd just come to see what was going on. And no, I never. It was an agony to us.
Yeah, we sat right in the window. next
So
to
if
the
anybody
house.
tells you that I don't know what a fire is out in out there,
Yeah.
I never heard such a. It sounded just like a whine when it went over there, and it was a mournful sound, and it was just a roll right over the top. It did. I never. I mean, that's the only time I ever went to a fire like that before.
Yeah, that might carry war stuff like that.